understanding the intricacies of FEMA's operations is crucial, especially when considering the 12 unexpected signs that might place you on their watch list. FEMA, the federal agency endowed with the authority to confiscate emergency supplies, meticulously plans its actions and strategically targets individuals' resources for redistribution. While their initial approach may be polite, persistent refusal to comply will eventually lead to mandatory confiscation. Through comprehensive intelligence gathering, FEMA has an acute awareness of where supplies are stored and who possesses them. This knowledge helps them pinpoint individuals who might be perceived as overprepared or hoarding supplies. To broaden public awareness, this detailed video outlines these specific criteria, providing insight into what FEMA monitors and why certain behaviors might attract their attention. Grasping these indicators not only prepares individuals for potential engagement with FEMA, but also encourages a more communal approach to emergency preparedness. Number 12. Public discussion of preparations. One of the lesser-known but critical factors that might land you on FEMA's watch list is discussing your survival preparations in public settings. While sharing your extensive survival knowledge at a social gathering may seem harmless, or even impressive, it can expose your detailed plans to a wider audience. Conversations about your survival gear, stockpiles, or specially built bunkers are best kept private. The more people know about your preparations, the more vulnerable you become. Not just to curious neighbors, but to potential scrutiny by government agencies. Public awareness of your elaborate survival strategies can potentially be flagged by agencies like FEMA. In times of national emergencies or disasters, these agencies are tasked with ensuring public order and safety, and extensive personal preparations can be seen as hoarding or as signs of separatist thinking. Discussing your plans openly essentially advertises your readiness, potentially marking you as someone who is preparing for scenarios where governmental control or intervention might be resisted. To mitigate such risks, it's prudent to steer conversations away from sensitive topics and opt for safer ones, such as the weather or local events. Keeping your survival strategies private is imperative, as public disclosure can turn these personal measures into public information, which could be misinterpreted or misused. By maintaining this secrecy, you help ensure that your preparations remain a personal matter and reduce the likelihood of attracting unwanted attention to your readiness efforts. Number 11 on the list focuses on firearm and ammunition purchases. Buying these items can draw significant attention, not only from the gun shop owner, but also from various authorities, including FEMA. Each transaction is carefully monitored, and the records maintained are exceptionally detailed and permanent. This meticulous record-keeping ensures that every purchase is documented thoroughly, akin to having details etched in stone, making it virtually impossible to remain unnoticed. The authorities are alert to patterns in purchasing behavior, and making excessive purchases of firearms and ammunition can quickly escalate their interest. Such activities could categorize an individual as someone requiring closer monitoring. This heightened scrutiny means that people who frequently buy these items might find themselves on watch lists, as their patterns of behavior might be interpreted as potential red flags. The vigilance surrounding firearm and ammunition purchases is a reminder of the broader implications of such transactions. While owning firearms is a legitimate right for many, the act of purchasing them in large quantities can unintentionally place an individual under the watchful eyes of federal agencies. This serves as a caution to be mindful of how often and how much one buys, as it is not just about personal security, but also about avoiding unwanted attention from surveillance programs designed to flag suspicious activities. 10. Ownership of properties in designated flood zones. Owning a property in a designated flood zone often places you under the close watch of FEMA, making it a key indicator that you might be on their radar. FEMA meticulously monitors such areas due to the inherent risks and the potential for catastrophic flood damage. Homeowners in these zones have to frequently consult FEMA's flood maps, which outline the specific areas at high risk of flooding. These maps are not merely bureaucratic tools. They are essential guides that inform preparation and mitigation efforts. Living in a high-risk flood zone may offer picturesque and serene views, but it also comes with the persistent challenge of maintaining soggy lawns and implementing flood defense measures. Property owners must be diligent about purchasing and maintaining adequate flood insurance, often at significant cost due to the heightened risk. These areas are also subject to stringent local planning regulations, designed to minimize flood impact and ensure proper drainage systems are in place. Compliance with these policies is non-negotiable and closely monitored by local authorities in coordination with FEMA. FEMA's overarching concern is the prevention of flood-related disasters. To that end, their focus is less on the aesthetic value of such properties and more on their vulnerability and preparedness. Those owning properties in these zones are required to adhere to a plethora of regulations and policies aimed at risk mitigation. Non-compliance can lead to penalties or increased scrutiny, further solidifying one's presence on FEMA's watch list. Being a property owner in these flood-prone regions means continually balancing the benefits of scenic views against the rigorous demands of flood preparedness and regulatory compliance. Number 9. Location. Living in areas identified as high-risk zones significantly increases the probability of being on FEMA's watch list. These locations, often prone to natural disasters such as hurricanes, earthquakes, and floods, attract the agency's attention due to the heightened likelihood of emergency response needing to be mobilized. For example, residing near critical infrastructure like power plants or chemical factories also enhances scrutiny, given the potential for catastrophic incidents that could necessitate large-scale evacuations or specialized interventions. While the allure of dramatic views and the benefits of convenient commuting might make high-risk areas appealing, the trade-off is substantial, a home address that dictates a higher risk profile. FEMA keeps a close eye on these vulnerable locations to better prepare and respond to potential disasters. Residents of such areas might experience increased inspections, more stringent building regulations, and even mandatory evacuation procedures during emergencies. These measures, while protective, serve as a constant reminder of the inherent dangers lurking nearby. Thus, knowingly settling in these high-risk environments not only involves grappling with the persistent threat of disaster, but also living with the reality that you are under frequent surveillance from FEMA in the agency's bid to ensure public safety. Number 8. Large amounts of emergency supplies. One of the unexpected signs that you might be on FEMA's watch list is stockpiling large amounts of emergency supplies. Having a basement that resembles a mix between a Red Cross warehouse and an outdoor sporting goods store might sound like a prudent measure, but it can inadvertently raise red flags. Accumulating vast quantities of items such as first aid kits, hand crank radios, fuel, and water can signal to authorities that you're preparing for some form of significant societal disruption. FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, has protocols in place to monitor potential risks to national safety, including individuals who engage in excessive stockpiling. While buying in bulk often seems practical, especially for those living in areas prone to natural disasters, it's important to balance preparedness with awareness of how it may be perceived. You might find yourself in the spotlight simply for attempting to safeguard your household. Moreover, such extensive preparations could turn you into the neighborhood go-to during a crisis. While being able to assist your community is laudable, it's crucial to be aware that your actions might also attract undue scrutiny from federal agencies worried about potential hoarding or intentions behind such stockpiling. Therefore, maintaining a level-headed approach to emergency readiness is essential to avoid drawing unnecessary attention. Second, purchase of precious metals. Purchasing precious metals such as gold and silver can be a double-edged sword. While these investments can hedge against inflation and protect your wealth from currency devaluation, they can also potentially flag you on FEMA's watch list. Opting for bullion over traditional investment vehicles like bonds might suggest to authorities that you foresee economic turmoil or that you have a unique affinity for pirate aesthetics. This perception could lead to closer scrutiny of your activities and financial transactions. To minimize this attention, consider acquiring gold jewelry and silver trinkets from yard sales and thrift stores instead of purchasing more conspicuous forms like bullion bars or coins. This method allows you to build your precious metal reserves subtly, appearing as an eccentric collector rather than someone preparing for economic collapse. While the underlying objective remains the same, securing your financial future, the strategy of acquisition can significantly affect how you are perceived. In an age where data and financial transactions are closely monitored, subtlety can be a safeguard against unwanted surveillance. Therefore, adjusting your approach to buying precious metals can help you stay under the radar while still achieving your investment goals. 6. Online activity. In today's highly digital age, your online behavior can serve as a significant indicator of your interests and intentions. Point number 6 highlights that online activities, such as researching bunker building and stockpiling supplies, can be easily tracked. Every click you make while surfing the internet can leave a digital footprint, which is highly traceable and monitorable by government agencies like FEMA. This means that if you frequently visit websites or forums dedicated to doomsday prepping, survival tactics, or purchasing bulk supplies, you could be sending unintended signals to these agencies. For those with a keen interest in prepping, This monitoring can extend beyond the typical targeted ads and venture into the realm of governmental scrutiny. Agencies are especially vigilant of individuals who exhibit a persistent and significant interest in preparations for potential large-scale emergencies. Your browsing history focused on doomsday prepping is not just benign. It could potentially flag you as someone of interest. This kind of surveillance raises essential questions about privacy and the extent to which government agencies can monitor individual online activities. Therefore, while your prepping efforts may be driven by a genuine concern for safety, it's important to be aware of the digital breadcrumbs you leave behind. 5. Generator purchase. Owning a generator may seem like a sensible step towards ensuring uninterrupted power supply, but it also serves as a significant flag for agencies like FEMA. This single action can be interpreted as a signal of your intent to become self-sufficient and perhaps disconnect from the traditional power grid. When you purchase a generator, you're essentially taking a step towards off-grid living, and FEMA views this as an attempt to gain independence from conventional utilities. In a world where connectivity to main infrastructure is the norm, distancing oneself from these systems highlights you in the eyes of monitoring agencies. The purchase of a generator is not merely about avoiding power outages. It's about the broader message it sends regarding your lifestyle choices and preparedness levels. High levels of preparedness are often associated with people who are cautious, vigilant, and potentially skeptical of authority. By choosing self-sufficiency, you are exhibiting behaviors that suggest you are prepared for emergency situations, which places you under a different level of scrutiny by FEMA. This reflects a mindset inclined towards resilience and autonomy, both of which are closely monitored traits. Therefore, while a generator can provide essential backup power, it also puts you on FEMA's radar as someone who is actively seeking to lessen your dependence on governmental infrastructures or survival food purchases. Loading up on survival food indicates smart preparation for emergencies, but it might also draw the attention of FEMA. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has a vested interest in monitoring activities that relate to preparedness and resource management during potential disasters. When individuals purchase large quantities of survival food, it can signal to FEMA that these people are taking extensive measures to get ready for unforeseen emergencies. FEMA's tracking of survival food purchases is less about personal invasion and more about understanding preparedness levels within the community. By doing so, FEMA can better allocate resources and plan for widespread distribution during actual emergencies. As part of their role in emergency management, they aim to ensure that communities can withstand and recover from disasters as effectively as possible. However, stocking up on survival food ensures that you're ready for various emergency scenarios. While such actions can contribute positively to your safety, they may not go unnoticed. Large-scale survival food shopping habits can serve as indicators of who is potentially better prepared, making those individuals more visible to agencies focused on emergency preparedness and resource allocation. Therefore, while preparing for emergencies by stocking survival food is prudent, it's crucial to be aware that it might place you on FEMA's radar. 3. Submission of building permits in vulnerable areas. If you are submitting building permits in areas that are highly susceptible to natural disasters, you may find yourself garnering attention from FEMA. This scrutiny is due to the additional regulations and steps required to ensure that construction in high-risk zones meets stringent safety and resilience standards. Whether it's building in Tornado Alley or near active volcanoes, the process demands meticulous planning and compliance, with a multitude of safety protocols designed to enhance a structure's ability to withstand extreme conditions. FEMA's involvement primarily aims to safeguard property and human life by ensuring that local building codes are stringent enough to combat potential dangers from natural calamities. Coordination with local authorities and federal agencies is critical during this permitting process. These steps not only protect new constructions, but also contribute to community-wide disaster preparedness and resilience. If your construction project is in a particularly vulnerable location, expect that FEMA will take a keen interest in ensuring every aspect of your buildup adheres to these rigorous standards. Thus, obtaining permits in such areas can make you a significant point of interest on FEMA's watch list. 2. Participation in Community Emergency Response Teams, CERT. Your involvement in Community Emergency Response Teams, CERT, can be a significant indicator that you're on FEMA's radar. This commitment extends beyond merely acquiring vests and walkie-talkies. It provides an in-depth understanding of disaster preparedness. Active engagement with CERT elevates your visibility to FEMA and positions you at the forefront of community safety efforts. By dedicating yourself to these volunteer activities, you demonstrate a serious commitment to disaster response, a quality highly valued by FEMA. Through CERT, you acquire practical skills, such as using fire extinguishers, managing first aid scenarios, and coordinating with local emergency agencies. This not only enhances your readiness for emergencies, but also signifies a potential long-term volunteer commitment. FEMA is likely to take note of individuals who show such dedication, as it reflects an elevated level of preparedness and willingness to serve during crises. Therefore, being an active member of CERT not only benefits your community, but can also make you well known within FEMA circles. Highlighting your role in disaster management and volunteerism. 1. Large amounts of emergency supplies. One of the first signs you might be on FEMA's watch list is possessing large amounts of emergency supplies. Extensive stockpiles can make you feel well prepared for any scenario, with your basement resembling a blend of a Red Cross warehouse and an outdoor sporting goods store. These preparations typically include an abundance of first aid kits, hand crank radios, fuel, and water. While buying in bulk ensures you are never caught off guard without essential supplies, it can also have unintended consequences. Such extensive preparations could draw attention, especially from organizations like FEMA, who are vigilant about individuals stockpiling substantial quantities of emergency goods. While it may be advantageous to always have necessary items on hand, it can alter your social dynamics by making you the go-to person in a crisis, potentially compromising your desire to maintain a low profile. If your storage closet is stocked to the brim with emergency provisions, it's worth considering the balance between readiness and attracting possible scrutiny from emergency management agencies.